session on strings. So this is physics, sounds, physics of strings. So we've gone over in pretty good detail. Yeah, change new one. So first thing, right up there, AIDS, AIDS.
What's the name?
And I wanted to show you, first of all, take a look at this.
Okay.
That's called a slide rule. It's hard to believe, but that will do almost everything that your calculator will do now. It's a little bit more intensive learning curve, but basically it's what you call a slide rule. So you slide one. I started learning about slide rules when I was about her age during the Second World War. So we played a lot of war games. So the first thing we learned was to do cryptography. So you put A, B, C, A through Z on a slide, then 1 through 28, and slide it. So then that's how you did code. So I would send you a message, and if I said every good boy does fine, now E might be 10, and so on. So you could change the code in a few seconds just by changing the slide rule. So anyway, a slide rule is one way to help your brain work. So you want to give it back to me? And I used to have a little one too that you carry around in your pocket. But all my chemistry and all my physics back then was done with this. So we've gone over the circle of fifths and the circle of fours very well. We've had a good response from people around the world on it. So I think we've had 300 to 600 views on some of these videos. So basically what I wanted to do is show you a slide rule. This is a slide rule for music. So if you get this in your head, you don't need all these aids. But as you get up in the sharps or the flats, it's pretty tough unless you've been doing music for a long time. And even if you've been doing music for a long time, and you're almost a professional, if you're up in 3, 4, 5 sharps, it's almost impossible for these people to go down and play at 3 flats. So we've gone through that. So anyway, take a look at this. That just shows you that what we're talking about, music is nothing but mathematics and physics. So if you put C there on C4 and you make it Roman numeral 1, it'll automatically show you that's the tonic. The dominant chord is 5 notes up in the do, re, mi in the tonic scale, and it's more than that in the chromatic scale because you've got sharps and flats. So you have two sharps or flats up, and then F sharp, so you have 3. So basically when you're transposing, which we're going to get to in the string instruments, it's kind of hard to get this concept of halftones and so on. So anyway, that's one way to do it. In addition to, and you can make these, they're relatively easy to make. You just take a piece of cardboard and get side by side and put them on the table and just slide them. So that's a one made professionally. You can see it's old and it's broke, but it went through many years of helping me do this. So here's now, Haley. That is a circle of fifths, aid. And if you get on Amazon, you'll probably find 25 or more of these different kinds. This one is the kind that I like there. And they have two of them. That's made for strings, which we're going to cover today. And we're going to cover one other thing today. And I don't think we'll draw the circle of fifths. We'll just use that. So on that chart, put there, no, I want you to put C as the tonic.
No, he didn't.
Okay. Now, we didn't go over it before, but what I want you to go over, let's take your fingers here, okay? 1, 3, 4, we've said. So that's one way to use your fingers. Tonic, dominant, subdominant. But if you're going to make chords, it's 1, 3, 5. 1, 3, 5 is the chord. Okay? So C, E, G, G, B, D, F, A, C. So there's two ways to get this in your mind. Later on, you can do away with your fingers or the blackboard. You should be able to do it in your mind. So I can do it, you know, C, E, G, G, B, D, F, A, C. When you get to the flats and sharps, it becomes a little bit harder, but I know, let's say B flat, and then you have no sharps or flats on the next two. So as you get up there in the scales, it gets a little bit more complicated. But the G scale, the C scale, the F scale, and to some extent, the D scale is relatively easy. So, okay.
That was from school.
What I wanted to show you there is we're trying to develop musicians, okay? And most of the emphasis in the academic system is to develop what we call a technician, okay? You look at the music and you play the song. So it goes from that sheet through your eyes, through your hands, and it comes out on one instrument. If you want to study music, I don't know where they're at now, but I do know a few years ago when we had a fair number of young people go into music, you would have to be proficient in college at 2 instruments. And generally speaking, they had to be 2 different genres. In other words, a reed instrument and a horn, or a horn and a piano, or a keyboard and a flute. Okay, they usually wanted you to have a different key instrument, like a B flat, and then a guitar maybe. So that's kind of how we're going to attack the strings today, so that everybody can play 2 instruments, or at least you can communicate with the people. Yeah, show them that picture. What I wanted to show you there is, that is 90 years ago. On the lower left hand, you can see that little guy over on the other side. That's me.
I thought so. I knew it was you.
That's how far back I was. I wanted to play music back then, and you can see all they let me play was the cymbals. I think I showed you this book. This was my book from kindergarten, and all they would let me play in kindergarten was a Hawaiian guitar. So because of the academic approach then, I fell out of music for several years. It just was too expensive, wasn't exactly what I had in mind, but as I got a little bit older, had the time, the effort, and the money, from then on I've been teaching music and playing music ever since. So, Elisa, once you get up there, draw, let me think. We're on strings. So draw your sine wave first. Just a sine wave, way high. Okay.
Oops.
Okay, that's good. If you take any string, or a piece of rope, and you're at one end and somebody else at the other end, you pluck it or you do this, you're going to get a sine wave. So when we're talking about strings now, it depends on the string. what it's made out of. In a guitar, we used to call it gut. Okay, they used to use the tail of a horse for violin strings a long time ago. And then we got to steel in the last couple centuries, and now most of our strings are made out of steel. So most of you probably will not hardly ever hear the other strings unless you listen to mariachi music or other kind of music besides rock and roll. So now I'm drawing a line below there.
Here?
Another line, just a line with ticks. Okay. And now, if you remember from last year's talk, that sine wave gets big. It can be 10 meters long or 2 meters long. So 10 meters is 10 times 3, 30 feet, let's say. So a meter is 3 feet, so 2 meters would be 6 foot long. And then it gets so short that you get thousands of them in one hair or in one piece of paper. So this becomes very important in the physics of music and so on. So that string there, trying to think how to do it. On a string, put down ticks for a diatonic scale. So do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then 8 is an octave. Okay. So let me think. So let's make that. Let's stay with the easy one. C4 at the other end there, and C5 at the upper end. Okay, and then figure out where A4 is. Now, these are just some of the things that somehow you've got to get them into your head. This is a diatonic scale. So each thing there, right underneath them, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then do, re, mi, starting 1. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. This is where, like in a language, when you're learning a language, for example, you don't learn to translate it word by word. For example, in Spanish it's como se llama. So, what do you call yourself? It's not, hello, who are you? Okay? So, you have to do the same thing here. You've got to get it where you get what we call hardwired, and pretty soon you know what do is. And what we're talking about in this whole realm of strings is moving that do. On that slide rule, when you moved it, you moved that do up. So everything goes up. Do goes up, re goes up, mi goes up, and you kind of have to be able to do that in your head as you're going to transpose. Now, and this is where we talked about also getting into your head the concept of, and write that down underneath there, whole note, half note, whole note, half note. So I teach a lot of music by the numbers because a lot of people just don't want to learn to play, to read music. Okay, they just don't want to put out the effort. It's kind of hard, and you can play a lot of good music without ever picking up a sheet of paper. So circle 3 and 4 and 7 and 8. So this is where I teach music by the numbers. Okay, Now make those into one big circle. Well, not two big circles. 3 and 4, circle it. 7 and 8. If you get this in your head, you've got the whole, half, whole, half. So as you move the do, if you can automatically put do related to numbers, the minute you move a do, what we've talked about with your fingers, 1, 3, 5, everything's going to move up or down. So now all you have to do is start counting. And thanks to electronics, all you have to do, but you've got to have this in your head because you know what you're going to count. Now, above the line, put the ticks for the black keys. So you have a C sharp above. Just put something up above the line. No, on the do, re, mi. Now we're changing the do, re, mi, the diatonic scale to a chromatic scale. We're adding the black keys. So now it's no longer 9, it's going to be 12. Okay? So between C and D, up above, put a tick there. Now, between D and E, put a tick. Now, you know, we just said 3 and 4, there is no tick. There is no black key. So you automatically know when you come to 3 and 4. So another black key for G, F sharp, G, A, and then there's no black key between 7 and 8. So this is relatively easy as you move up to them. Right away, your mind, if you can get the piano in your head, the white keys and the black keys, you've got it made. Because you know between 3 and 4, there is no black key. Between 7 and 8, no black key. So whenever you go in the circle of fifths, around the circle of fifths, it has to stay the same. So when you go to G, okay, G, B, G, A, B, C, 3 and 4, no black key. You've got it made. Hasn't changed. The problem is when you get up to the end of it, you've got to have a half tone. So now you've got to put a black key in, F sharp. That's why the F sharp comes in the G scale. As you go up, you start adding more. So once you get this in your head, you can start playing with C to G or G to C. That's the easiest one. So let's get one of you get the ukulele and one get the accordion. Okay, I told you before, once you learn this theory, I used to be amazed at how a mariachi instructor could play and teach 4 or 5 instruments until I realized that they're all the same. Once you learn the theory, you just apply it to another instrument. So you just have to put in maybe a year or two of work on the hard wire. But as far as learning it, it doesn't matter if it comes out your fingers or your lips on a horn or whatever. From the brain, it's all the same. So, take your sheet of paper there. The 2 songs that we're working on, actually 3, is Silent Night and Jingle Bells. So the first thing I want you to look at there is in music, fake is not a bad word. Fake is a good word and means you are a good musician. So this is the fake book for Christmas songs. I have 4 of these fake books and they're all this thick. So probably most of the songs that have ever been used in the Western world are in a fake book like this. 1 page long or 2 pages long. And then they can turn that into for your instrument. In this case, it's for a guitar. Then I told you you can buy books as a beginner to use this method that we're talking about, by the numbers. You can buy books for 2-chord songs. You can play about 1,000 songs by just learning 2 chords, 1 and 5. Leave out number 4. And then you can buy another book for 3-chord songs, and then add the 4th chord, and you've got thousands of songs covered. So this is a book for 4 chords. So we'll start off with the 2 chords. Okay, so if you look at the sheet there, this is from that book. Down at the bottom, okay, for guitar. So when you're playing a piano, you play treble and bass. When you play an accordion, you play treble and bass. When you're playing an accordion, you play treble here, but you play bass down here on the buttons. Diatonic style, chromatic style here. And then you get to a diatonic accordion, which is both diatonic. So, if you take those strings, Haley, why don't you take your guitar, put the ukulele back, because that's what you got for Christmas. Okay. Now, the guitar has 6 strings, so it's made a little different, but it follows a circle of fifths. So we said the high string is E above middle C. The lowest string is E, and that's where I was wrong in last week's lecture. I said it was E3. Well, it's not, it's E2. So that means you have 2 octaves you can cover. As I told you before, most songs are 2 octaves long. High or low, they go up and down. Hardly any songs go more than 2 octaves. So most instruments will cover at least 2 octaves, if not 2.5. So on the strings there, if you look at them, you'll see 3 wire strings. Now, I don't know, is that a string guitar or a steel guitar?
Yeah, it's got 3 steel ones and 3 nylon, it looks like.
If you have an acoustic guitar, those 3 bass strings will be gut. Okay, the 3 upper strings will be steel. So if you have a steel guitar, they'll all be steel. But what you'll see is the 3 bass strings are wound. That's because they're bass, they're down low. The 3 strings unwound are your treble. So that's basically kind of your treble and your bass on a guitar. So if you want to play bass chord, you would be on the wound string, then on the unwound string. Okay? So, most beginners on guitar do not want to play melody. Okay? They want to play rhythm. So rhythm, basically, for what we're talking about at 3/4 time, is bass, chord, chord, bass, chord, chord. And you can just strum on a 4-string instrument that doesn't have a bass and treble, all 3 of them, chord, 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 chord. You don't need a bass. Hopefully you can find a bass player, and he'll play the bass. Okay? So your strings in a guitar are the 2 E's, then the string, the low, okay, listen, down at the bottom, you start E, and then you throw in a B. And it was thrown in there for a reason, and the B kind of doesn't belong in there, but it does from the standpoint of whole, whole, half, half. And from there on, it is G, okay? Just like we learned the circle of fifths, okay? So which would what? Beat. B-E-A-D. So E-A-D. Okay. So it's the same on what one have you got now? You got the banjo? The banjo.
I have the ukulele.
Oh, we're no. Getting old. The ukulele. The ukulele is just a small guitar. Okay, keep it, you need it. The ukulele is just a small guitar. So the bottom string is a G. Okay? And then the top string is an A. So then you got G, D, E, A. Okay. So now, in our chords, we've not gone over a 4-note chord, but a lot of times in music, to make it sound better, for those people who really appreciate what we call music appreciation people or courses, they throw in a 4th note. So on the ukulele, that's an A. Okay. So the chord now becomes a C chord with an A, and it's now, instead of C major, I'll turn your page. And write down C capital M.
I don't know why that didn't. See what?
C capital M. M equals major. M equals major chord. Now write down C little m. No, underneath it there. That equals minor chord. M-I-N-O-R. Minor. This is where it gets a little confusing now. Okay, now put up your fingers again. Here's the major. 1, 3, 5. Okay. Now get your diatonic scale, your chromatic scale in your head. In any minor scale, all you're going to do is lower the 3rd 1/2 tone. Haley, put up your fingers. Lower that 3rd 1/2 tone. So now it's on the black key. C, you lowered E down to E flat, G. You do that for the G, and you do it for the F and the C chord. Okay? Now, draw the circle of fifths, but just a minor one, the whole thing. Make your boxes, box 1, box 2, box 3, for the common good, B-E-A-D,
B. Is that right?
on the other side, B-E-A-D down, B-E-A-D. Okay, now we told you before to put your hand up there. Okay, 1, 5, 4. So turn your hand down to G.
My thumb on G?
Yeah. So that's the clock of fifths. That's the little clock I just showed you that you can buy. It'll do it for you. Okay. So now, what you've got to get in your head is that in your scale, do, re, mi, fa, sol, do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. La, la, say la. Say do, re, mi, fa, sol.
La.
Do, mi, sol. That's your chord. Wherever you make it go, that's your chord. Okay. Now we're going to add la. The 6th. The 6th. This is 1, 3, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now draw a line down from C to A. That's 6 on the scale. C to A, La. 1 to 6. C to A. Do to La. However you want to remember it. Pretty soon you've got to make those transitions and translations in your head. Now, underneath there, write down minor is a relative minor to C. A scale is a relative minor to C. Okay, therefore the chords in A scale are A, C, E. A, C, E. A, C sharp, E. Okay? So it's A, C sharp, E. You take the sharp out now, you have A, C, E. Okay? You gotta start doing it with your fingers, just follow me because this is not easy stuff. Okay? But you've got to know these two. You've got to know the major chord and the minor, because in a song, when you look at a song, I told you before, and you look at it, and it looks like it's in the key of C. There's no sharps, no flats. Okay? Might not be. It might be in a minor key. So it might be an A minor. So in the C, when you're doing a song in C, when you get to more of these songs here and study them, you'll find that they will use C, G, whatever, C, G, B. You'll also be using the minor chords, A, C, and E. So now you have 6 chords that you can use in a song that will harmonize and sound good. So as you move up, this is what you, especially a guitar player, has to learn at least 6 chords for the major keys. Okay. Now, if you look down here on this, look at that sheet of paper. Draw another. Turn the page. Okay, now let's draw. Lisa, draw the string for a guitar. E over here. E. One down, then a B. All the way down. D. Okay. G, D, A, and another E. You got 6 strings?
Yeah.
Now, once you go down there, what we're going to do is really make a scale, a chromatic scale. So draw your frets. A fret is the thing on a guitar. Right, a fret. A violin is a fretless instrument. Don't have the frets. So you've got to learn how to do it. Okay? So what we teach in the violin, just a matter of Roy, for a fretless instrument, you can learn something like this here. Put a hole there, and then move that guy up, move this guy down. Okay? And it makes learning a fretless instrument a lot easier. But if you got frets, you're lucked out. So now, write down on this side of the E, 1st fret, 2nd fret, 3rd fret, down. 1st fret, 2nd fret, 3rd fret, 4th fret, 5th fret. Now, show them your guitar. Let me see. Yeah, show them that side. To help you learn this on a guitar, they have little buttons there that tell you the important frets. The fifth fret, the octave, a double octave would be the same. This would be an E down here, the same as an open E. So above your instrument there, please put a 0 above each of those. No, above the E. There, 0. Okay, those are called open strings and open chords. Open strings and open chords. So now let's find another page here. An easier one. Okay, let's go to up on a housetop. That's in our band book too. And you can see that song starts in G. Now a song can start in any note, but primarily it usually will start in 1, 3, or 5. 1, 3, or 5. But the song must end in the key it's in. So if it's in the key of G, the last note must be a G, and the last chord must be a G. And when we're doing this, the other word you have to get in your head for music is to resolve. Those people who've got a good ear, this music is going to go around and around and around. There's a song. The music goes around and around and around, and it comes out here. Okay? It always goes back, and it always ends. It resolves back to the tonic. So the tonic is very important. That's why the song must end in the tonic. So this is up on a housetop. And let's pick out those chords, okay? The first chord they've got there, the 3rd fret, E, put a dot, a black dot. A black dot means it's no longer an open string in the 3rd fret on the E. And one on the neck, the higher E. Look at the chart you got.
What chart?
You got the chart?
Is it E? Oh, for G.
Okay. Now, what we're going to do, they say that equals a G chord. So put up there with a dot, it equals G. Now, what does that mean? That means that every string there now has become a G, a B, or D. So, Elisa, see if you can figure it out. Up here you have an E. What comes after E?
B.
Okay.
Wait, what do you mean?
An E sharp. Right? Oh, I'm sorry, an F.
Oh, I thought you meant like what? Oh, an
An
F. Yeah.
E.
F and
There,
then
yeah. The first fret will be, no, the first fret, not
E,
the open.
F,
Yeah.
F sharp, G.
Okay. An open string is the open string. The first place, probably the easiest thing to do is to put a lot of dots all the way down. You can put your finger there. No, in between, in the middle. No, here. Yeah. You don't put your finger on the fretboard. You put your finger in the middle of the fret.
Oh, yeah.
Okay? That's very important, or you won't get good sounds. So now what we're going to do is figure out what we've got here. We've got an E string, okay, and we go here, the next one, we're going to put our finger there, that's fret number 1, okay. Actually the one, this is fret number 1 too, okay. So this here is going to be F, F, okay, go ahead.
F sharp,
And
G.
So that's a G now. Write down G. And what's the G chord? G, B, D. So B, G, D, A. Okay, we'll go over that later, the seventh chord. Okay, same thing here. So this is how you make your chords. So take your guitar now. So you can see why it's important on your sheet music to tell you a few things. When you do it on a computer, okay, you're going to tell them what key it's in. You're going to tell them how fast it goes, 120 beats a minute. Okay, so telling them what key it's in is going to tell you what the first note is probably and what the last is for sure. Okay, so these players who play like this will learn those chords to play this song. They won't learn. They will not learn a sheet of music. The other sheet we had for the book on Christmas songs that goes this way, they'll do the same thing. Down here they'll draw those lines, but they'll go this way, then they'll put a dot there. Your finger goes there, Silent Night. So G, A, G, E. So they'll put a dot where G goes. Then they'll put a dot where the A goes. Then they'll put a dot again, then dot where the E is. So that's how they learn. They never get a sheet of music. They learn from that tablet. It's called tablature. So almost all string instruments have tablature. And in a lot of these books, I've got a book here I got this from. I don't know what's that. But anyway, in this is all a whole book of songs. That's all you get. You don't get any sheet music. I don't see it here. It's a little one.
Oh, then I don't know.
Anyway, there might be 100 pages, and that's all you get. And these people primarily want to sing and have accompaniment. So they learn something they hear on the radio or on TV, and then they'll come out. Mexico used to do this. United States does. Every month they'll come out with a book of just like this here, tablature. Okay, and then you play along, or you play along with whoever's playing, or sing along. Let's take another one. Okay, I don't want to cross over. Well, let's take a common one. The D7. Look at the D7 and then put the dots up there for us. Make them big so we can tell this chord from the other chord. This is a very common fingering here. Sometimes all you do is turn it upside down. Okay, make them big. Now, we talked a little bit about sixth chord, where you add a fourth note for whatever reason. For whatever reason, somebody decided years ago it sounded good. The dominant chord frequently will be a seventh chord. So you add the seventh tone of that scale to the chord. So it would be G, B, D, and then the seventh tone. So right away you should kind of get in your mind, what is the seventh tone? Okay, well we know it's do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, right? 7, 8. So T. So if you're ever going to move this thing around, and you know 7 and 8 and 3 and 4, you automatically will know the 7th note. Okay? So try to figure out what notes they are now. Write it down under the strings there so we can see it.
Right,
Now,
what?
this is what you're going to learn for the guitar, or whoever's going to play that guitar. You got to know half tone, half tone, half tone, half tone, half tone. Okay? Because that's what these are. These are all frets, are half tones. Half tone, half tone, half tone, half tone. That's your chromatic scale. That's why you've got to learn 2 scales. Okay, you got to figure it out?
Oh, why'd I put a G? Wait,
So again,
B, that's a B.
all of those notes now have to be a D, F sharp, A. So do you have it? Show them the F sharp. Look up there. Haley, what she's doing. You have to have a D, F sharp, A. Now, interest enough.
This is a B.
Hmm?
It's a B.
Okay, I can't hear you. So, interesting enough, on the 3rd note, D, F sharp, A, okay, if you lower the 3rd, where is it at? Where's your F sharp? Okay, what fret is it on? 2nd fret? If you lower it a half tone, it becomes a minor. So it's now D minor. Okay, this is where you have to keep at this. Month after month, day after day. I'm saying just like mathematics, trigonometry or anything. You've got to be able to have foundation down in your mind and then build on top of it. So, okay, turn the page. Okay, let me see what other songs we got. Jingle Bells. And the last one there, I can show you a lot of songs that you're going to learn, or we will learn, look very complicated. They have a lot of chords. Okay, a beginner doesn't have to play all those chords. It's Deep in the Heart of Texas. Deep in the Heart of Texas is an extremely simple song. But I told you, musicians want to make a short song that's 30 seconds long when the Saints go marching in, let's say, and they want to play it for 20 minutes. Well, they've got to do different things to it. The most common thing is to play it in a different key. You raise it up 1 key or 2 keys, then come back down. Okay, so now, let's write up there intervals. And after that, harmonic. Okay, now, if you go to the piano style chords, I'm going to have a wheel for that you can practice with whenever we do this from now on. Okay, your chord is C, E, G, C, E, G, F, A, C, G, B, D, okay, A, C sharp, E. Okay. So, where we're at is the interval between those, which is what we're doing with the diatonic scale and the chromatic scale. So then your top note, write down SATB. It's soprano, alto, tenor, and bass. That's what you want for music. You want somebody up high, you want your bass down here, and then you want people in the middle of it. The guitar is going to play bass, chord, chord, bass, chord, chord, do, do, bass, chord, chord, bass, chord, chord, bass, chord for 3/4. Or for 3/4, it's going to be bass, chord, bass, chord, bass, chord, bass, chord. And they'll alternate the bass on the guitar to make it sound different. Okay? So what you want is your high note. If you have, no, in music you have singles, duets, triple, duet, triple,
Quartet.
quad, right? So mariachi's got 8. Almost always you'll have a singer and you'll have a piano player and a bass. So you have low music, middle music, your singer will sing up there at the top. Okay. This is why on your keyboard instrument you will almost always play, write down thirds. 3, third.
Where?
Just right underneath, third. 3 RD. Underneath that, write 6 TH. Okay? That's good. Now, listen very close. Whatever the music says is your top note. So if you're playing Silent Night and she's playing with you in a duet that you've already done one duet from the book, one of you will be playing the melody. The other one will be down here playing thirds or 6. Okay, so it's got a third one, that's soprano, alto, tenor, and bass. You go down that chord, C here, C, E, G, C. So one singer will be here if you're in a choir, one singer will be here, one singer will be here, and one singer will be here. Very few people do 4-part harmony. Anybody know what 4-part harmony is? Bobby Sharp Quartet does 4. Most people do 3-part harmony because it's pretty hard to find altos and basses who can do all this. But anyway, so there'd be up here, this would be 5, what's this? 8, 5, 3, and 1. Leave out the 1, and that's your chord. Okay? So when you get music and you want to play with somebody, generally speaking, you don't play the same note. You play what we call, write down, harmony. The 3rd and the 6th equals good harmony. So when we get to the keyboard, for example, you may play everything in octaves, if you can reach an octave, okay? And there are some good big men with lots of hand can reach more than an octave. So you actually play Sine.